Oh, you spoke on my behalf. Morrigan's not my favorite. Liliana's my favorite in Origins.
Here's your chance.
I don't know anything about her. She's just my favorite. She's got nice hair. And I remember finding her. I thought banana had frozen. No, it was just glazed over.
Stunned by your criteria for evaluating your best character.
Nice hair.
Oh, our next three characters were Liliana, Sten, and Zevran.
Oh, well, that's fine then. Then we haven't got to do it. Because, again, I missed Zen in my playthrough. No, Sten. Then, clearly.
Oh, yeah, Sven.
I also missed Zen in my playthrough, because that's not a character.
You missing Zen in your playthrough means you were just raging at the game. And then there's the rock man that I don't remember.
Shale.
Rock woman.
Is it really?
No, she's voiced by a woman.
Well, I remember the rocks then.
Before we begin, the Gamer's Advocate would like to remind you that any episode could contain game spoilers, so watch or listen with discretion. And now your hosts, AMKomnenos, Banana, and Legion. Enjoy the show.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
Well, welcome to yet another episode of the Gamer's Advocate podcast. Yay!
Yeah.
We're welcome with BananaHammockRepublic. Yay! AMKomnenos. Yay! And myself, Legion. And we are discussing early gaming.
Yay!
Yeah, boo.
Somebody had to.
Yeah. We were discussing earliest gaming memories, and it's kind of just off the top of our head is, of course, some of the things that we remembered when we first started gaming, which could have been years and years and years ago in some of our cases. But do we want to start off with That's Nice?
Nah.
No.
I love the idea of that going into the episode completely unedited.
Well, welcome to our new game called That Sucks. So,
I was made for this game.
I'm actually going to launch Clair Obscure and start playing it.
Good. It's about time.
No, my camera will freeze.
Okay.
I haven't got the processing power to spare.
The processing power.
She can't take it.
I'm giving her all she's got.
Yeah, I found your issue. Your engineers are drunk.
The dilithium crystals red capacity.
Captain, get down here.
I am wearing the red shirt, so I guess I'm the first one to go.
Oh no, we should trouble. That's going to be heartbreaking when you go.
Yeah,
oh.
Yeah. Well, it was meant to be. But yeah, we're going to be talking about earliest gaming memories. I know for myself, I think the first game I played, I think it was an Atari. The original Atari that came out, and back then it was furniture. That's why it had the little wood grain on it. So, you plugged it in, and it was a family thing, and it was part of the furniture, along with the. Back then, our TVs we had wood grain enclosures, and it was a setup. But when the family would get together, sometimes my mom and dad would kind of fire it up and play Pac-Man or something on it. It wouldn't spend too much time. But if they had friends or family over, suddenly it was this thing. And that's got me first interested, saying that gaming was a acceptable form of entertainment. Oh, okay, so this is a community thing. It's okay because everybody else likes it. And so they would get into playing various things like the mine tank things and the Pong stuff. Very, very simple stuff. And I just kind of got into that. And by myself, when I was playing Pac-Man, it was, pretty simple. There wasn't much to that. But it wasn't until Junior Pac-Man. Junior.
You went from Pong to, and when I was playing by myself, and I just imagine you playing Pong by yourself, and I'm like, oh, this is a special kind of pathetic.
I think that if I remember right, there was an AI there. You could play against the AI. would, very strong. It was Pong, of course. But yeah, Junior Pac-Man was the one where I thought, man, okay, so this is for me. I was real young. I was like 7 maybe. And I thought, oh, this is for me. It's Junior Pac-Man. That game was the hardest game of all time, I swear, because the screen scrolls. You can't see the entire screen. So as you go up, if the ghost is coming this way, then you can't see that. You have to scroll. The screen has to scroll up. And it was portrayed as like just, another iteration, but the way they designed it was just a nightmare. So I remember that part too. But yeah, what are you guys, some of your early gaming memories?
Yeah, my very earliest, I think, is actually not real because it doesn't make sense. So my very first gaming memory is sitting with my brother playing a ZX Spectrum and playing, I think the game would have been like a sports one. I think there was a horse racing one called The Sport of Kings. I believe it was that. And we were sitting in the attic in my parents' house just playing the ZX Spectrum. But my parents' house has an attic, but it doesn't have any power. So I've got no idea if that memory is real. No idea. I presume at some point I was in the attic. I presume at some point we played a Spectrum, and somewhere they've been mashed together to form this new hybrid memory, which is entirely deceptive. But that's my very earliest, but the earliest that I can remember that is definitely real is a game that I've never heard of since. And this has happened a few times with very, very old games. I remember some classic game titles, things like The Amazon Queen, things like The Dig, Beneath a Steel Sky. But there's a handful of games that I can't remember at all. And I remember playing, it was a Pirates-themed text adventure game. So it would have been similar to sort of Sid Meier's Pirates. And you had to just sort of go from port to port, you had to trade goods, and you would have these pirate fights. And I remember there was a ranking of sort of like the top 10 or 20 pirates, and I think Blackbeard was normally at the top. And you had to try and level up your character to the point that you could try and defeat these pirates. And I can remember that being the very first game that I can remember playing. I've just got no idea what that game is, and I've looked for it online. I've never found it. I've found Sid Meier's Pirates. I've found, I think, Tides Away or something like that. Quite a few very similar ones.
Probably a shareware.
It may well have been a shareware game. It may well have been. But I don't think I had access to the internet at the time, so I don't know. There's too many doubts there. But that is the first game that I can remember actually playing by myself, sort of for myself, and it being my first true gaming memory.
For me, my first gaming memory is a game called Gorilla, which I believe was a DOS game, and it's kind of the precursor to Worms. You essentially played as a gorilla, and opposite you is another gorilla, and you are on a skyline of buildings. So it's kind of like a randomly generated terrain of various buildings of different heights, and you have to launch an exploding banana at the opposing gorilla and take them out. And I think if I remember, you had to enter like the angle of the launch and the amount of power you wanted to put into it, and then target the other one. And I definitely remember playing that with my older brother, and like we had to get our dad to actually launch the game because we didn't understand how to do things on DOS at that point. I remember playing that game, and I was terrible. And I'm 3 years younger than my brother. So like, I think he really enjoyed it because he just got to kick the crap out of me at the game every time. But I definitely remember playing that game and having fond memories of that experience. And that was, I guess that's what got me into gaming, is gorilla and throwing exploding bananas at other gorillas.
I have also played Gorillas. I can't remember with whom. I can't remember if. I think it had to be 2-player if I remember correctly. So I probably did play with my brother, but I have definitely played Gorilla.
Then at that point, you knew how powerful a banana could be, and you chose to.
God, there's so much banana lore in this. There's the engineering.
It really is.
Oh my days.
I'm a very complex man.
Yeah, so many layers.
Well,
No. Layer.
bananas have a layer.
How many layer?
So many layer.
I have two very, very strong memories of my introduction to RPGs. When I was 10, I had a Tandy, which is kind of like a PC back then. And the Mickey's Space Adventure came out in 1985. And I got it when it was pretty much new. My mom got that for me. And I was shocked that she got that for me. It was an educational based system. So I was surprised that I got that. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And it had a cassette recorder that you put the game on there. And so it was kind of like just a image that would pop up and then the text would be below it. Simple stuff. But I mean, back then it wasn't floppy media. This was before floppy. It was just on a cassette recorder. And so it also played the audio. So there was that. It was really, really cool. And so it was my first introduction to RPGs was that game. Because like I said, I was 10, 1985. Everything was new to me at that point. Then other text-based games came out, things like Zork and stuff. So that I was like, I went from hearing everything and knowing everything to having to read everything. I was like, it seemed like we're going the opposite direction now. Right? But my second formative memory was all my uncles are attorneys, and one of my cousins came over they had money is my point. They had money. And so my cousin had a brand new system called the Nintendo. I was like, oh, it's a gaming system. Cool. And he was staying the night with me at my grandparents. And so we plugged it up, and my grandparents just kind of, they said, okay, you guys have fun. And this was so new to me, and he had Zelda. I had never experienced a game like this before, the original Zelda. I'm like, you go to another screen, you do something there. There's puzzles within that area. There's a dungeon within this area. There's a subset here. There's a secret area here. I played probably 20 hours straight. I was so enamored with Zelda, the first one. And since that point, I was just like, RPGs are my thing. That's my thing. And so that was my formative memory for those two. And that's why, for me, even now, RPGs are my main headcanon of gaming, and where I took that.
I think I probably have something very similar. Like, one of the earliest memories I have is another game that I don't know the name of. I don't know even what system it was on, because I think it was at my cousin's house. And all I remember is it would have been sort of like 1992, 1993. So it's the very sort of pixely world map art. It was some world where you were moving your character around through, I think, a castle at the beginning, and then you were outside in those way too bright green fields. And I just remember there were snake enemies, and they looked a little bit like pitfall snakes, like the one coil, and then there's the head. And it's really simple, really pixel. I remember playing that and thinking, this is the coolest thing.
Final Fantasy.
And then, I think when I was 8 or 9, I got Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation. I don't think I got it with the PlayStation. I think my brother had got a PlayStation before. And then at some point, I really wanted Final Fantasy VII. And that was the first game that I really remember finishing. Other games before that, I don't remember finishing Pitfall. I don't remember finishing any of the management games. I don't remember finishing anything before. But I can remember finishing Final Fantasy VII. And yeah, and then Breath of Fire 3, which I didn't finish. But Breath of Fire 3, which then took up so much of my time and sort of reinforced myself, okay, these are the kind of games you like. And they went on then to be the kind of games I kept on playing. And over the years, my taste changed. But it's why Final Fantasy, to this day, I will pretty much pick up any mainline entry. You don't really have to prove anything to me anymore. I'm already in. I'm on the train. And I'll pick it up. And yeah, it's the first game I remember finishing.
I think the first game I remember finishing is Super Punch-Out. I was a huge fan of Super Punch-Out. Not as big a fan of the original Punch-Out, which I think had a lot more kind of randomness to it. With Super Punch-Out, there was usually... I mean, I might be giving it way too much credit. It was kind of the precursor to the Dark Souls mechanic, where bosses in Dark Souls have a set of attack patterns. So they'll usually give you a tell, and then the follow-up attack you can identify based on that tell. Super Punch-Out had the same thing. Your opponents had a specific tell before a specific type of punch, and you had to react appropriately. So you might have to dodge towards the punch, you might have to dodge away from it, you might have to duck, or you might just have to block. And it was very much learning those patterns and then practicing to make sure you were reacting appropriately. And as you got through each of the ranks and finished the championship in each of those and then progressed to the next one, it got more and more challenging. But I definitely remember just really loving that system, loving the idea of like not really reading what is essentially a fight as this like, or I guess more treating it as this analytical exercise. Like, all right, what is the strategy I want to employ, or like, how do I think about these events? And I just got so sucked into that game. And I think around that era, I was also playing like the Mario games. So I imagine I probably finished those around the same time. But Super Punch-Out was definitely one of those that stood out in my memory as like, I remember being very proud of beating that game because of the challenge. And Mario, I definitely beat at some point, but it doesn't stick out in my memory as much of the that sense of pride of getting to the end of Mario. I just remember like, yeah, you're supposed to. Whereas Super Punch-Out felt like, yeah, no, you might not. It gets pretty hard.
Yeah, Nintendo had the advantage of a lot of their arcade games presented very similarly to their NES games. So it was very easy to go to the NES and say, I feel like I'm at the arcade now, because it had that visceral experience. Mario looks like Mario in Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong looks like Donkey Kong in the NES. It's very one-to-one. And Punch-Out was one of those that it seemed very much like when you're playing like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, for instance. Like this Glass Joe is there's a little bit more detail there in the arcade, but not a whole lot different. But yeah, I didn't really think of associating the tells of Punch-Out or with the Souls mechanics, but that actually makes 100% sense. Imagine like Melania in the Mike Tyson voice. I'm the blade of Mikula. Motherfucker.
Oh no. There's only a small number of stories you can tell, and they've all been written already, and essentially all we're doing now is rewriting them and coming up with new ways. There's not many game mechanics we haven't already done. They've all been there pretty much since the start. We just do them in different ways now. And you can probably find in almost every game you play, if you are willing to just let the imagination do some work, you can probably find an analog for that game going way back, 20, 30 years quite comfortably. I wanted to draw us into a different set of games which may bring up the early memories for you, like they did for me, which is games that would have come with operating systems. So I was thinking of like start menu games that you'd have got on Windows, and the ones that came to mind were Ski Free, which I believe came on every Windows computer, or if not everyone, then with a lot of them at the very least, part of one of their entertainment packs. And I remembered there was something like Tetra Card or something. I haven't got it written down. I remember the card games that came bundled with it. There was the space pinball game, where it was just a pinball machine, but it looked vaguely space themed. And these games that came built in with these computers, which was probably all you might have had at the time, because individual PC games would have been expensive. Individual PC games might not have run on the PC that you actually had, especially if we go back to 1991, 1992, those earlier times. When could you have started having any chance of being connected to the internet? At least on a wide scale? We're going further into the 90s before that happens. So you're stuck with whatever few games came bundled on the machine. So Ski Free probably has a lot of hours in it, from people who had nothing else to play.
Ski Free was definitely one of those ones where I think like I agree with you. I don't know if it was on every machine, but it was on a lot of them. And for that reason, I think people who got into gaming around that time all have that kind of shared memory of experiencing that game, and then the realization that the Yeti exists. And you're like, what is that? I thought I was just having a happy little fun time skiing. There's a monster. Killed
very
me.
fast Yeti. Very fast. Who doesn't take long to start appearing either. You only
It
get
really
2
doesn't.
minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting one. And I think you're right. When we got to the dawn of the internet in gaming, things really changed. I guess like you were saying, there are always those elements that you can trace back even further. But the internet really opened up that experience. And I think it also contributed to that same idea of the shared experience, where everybody was kind of seeing things around the same time and having very similar experience. And it also gave them this platform to share their experiences, because gaming forums started to become a thing and chat rooms would pop up about the games that you were playing. So I think that was definitely an interesting time for gamers to see that new technology kind of lending itself to their hobby. So yeah, that was definitely an interesting one. And I also think that was a really interesting time as far as the challenge of games and what developers could do, because now there's this whole new resource out there for effectively trying to navigate a game, instead of, talking to however many friends you have who also own this game. You're talking to a much wider group of people who are specifically discussing this game. And now we can all talk about, how did you beat this boss, or how did you find this item in the game? And so now you have internet walkthroughs becoming a thing, and games like Zelda 2 become playable instead of the impossible to navigate thing that they were, where you had to just invest a ton of hours until you stumbled onto the right block in the forest and you suddenly meet Bagu and you're like, oh, okay, now I can progress. So that was definitely an interesting time for gaming.
Well, there's definitely the time where internet was fairly rampant, and then there was the other time where you used the internet for gaming. So in the United States, we had like the late 80s, early 90s, AOL just was giving away CDs, and you could do a free trial for 30 days or whatever. But it wasn't for gaming. We used it for like internet relay chats, things like that. Nothing really that tied those two things together. And it really wasn't, for me, at least my perspective, I could have this all wrong, but it wasn't really until games like World of Warcraft came out that people really started, and maybe even EverQuest, that really people started investing in, like, I need a better connection now, so that way I can use the internet for gaming. Because you could still do EverQuest technically. Diablo 2, you could go to battle.net and connect to some things for the auction house and this and that, but it was real simple stuff. You didn't need a great connection for that. But it really wasn't until the MMOs that you started seeing I'm using the internet for gaming.
I would pretty much agree. By the way, you are the first person I've ever heard say internet relay chat and not IRC. It took me a few seconds to think, what do I know? Yeah, I think we always wanted faster internet for various reasons, mostly for Napster. But it was really, let's be real. But I think really with the internet, with MMOs, and particularly these more graphically intensive ones that more people were playing, because people were playing Graal Online, people were playing EverQuest, people might be playing, I can't think of any more off the top of my head, to be honest. If we go way back, Ultima as well, I think. Ultima Online. But it was really when you started to have these MMOs, and I'm thinking, World of Warcraft, because this is suddenly when all...
Lord British.
Tell the story again. This is really around when you start actually playing with like real life friends as well in these games. And you don't want to be the one who can't play because you haven't got the internet connection for it, or you haven't got a computer for it. Whereas if you couldn't play, whatever single player game at home, okay, it kind of blows. But when you slowly have this version of your social life migrating online as well, that's a bit different. Now you actually are a bit more pressured to have to play. So yeah, that was around when World of Warcraft in particular, and I think Guild Wars as well, for us, which is one that we played a lot on together. That was one where all of a sudden internet speed for gaming suddenly became a real discussion. Before that, it was just, okay, I can download files a bit faster. But all of a sudden now it felt like, okay, I need to hit a benchmark so that I can take part in this.
It kind of reminded me of like a different element of gaming, which was not so much needing the internet for gaming, but needing other supplementary technology. And so there's a very specific memory I have of the first time my brothers and I played Final Fantasy VII. So we got our PlayStation, and Final Fantasy VII was the first game we got on PlayStation. And we put the disc in, we loaded it up, we played through the reactor in Midgar for a bit, and then we got to the bottom of this ladder, and there's this glowing, bouncing question mark, and we're like, what the hell is that? We walk over to it, and we're like, this is how you save your game. And we're like, oh, okay, that's awesome. So we go to save the game, and it was like, please insert a memory card. And we're like, what? We didn't own a memory card. So our first experience with Final Fantasy VII was, you are either going to have to beat this entire game without turning the system off, which that's not going to happen, or you're going to need to go buy a memory card. And so we had to go explain to our parents, like, hey, you know how you just bought us a really expensive gaming system and a game for it? Yeah, we can't play it unless you buy us more stuff. So that was definitely one of those early gaming memories. And it was the first of many times where I had to explain to my parents how gaming works and like what is necessary for a video game, or like all of the things that kind of come together to make a video game. And it was not the last time by a long shot, but it was definitely prepared me for future events.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it feels like in the modern day, really the only remnant we have of that still is, do you have enough controllers? Whereas if we go back, we would need to get memory cards, and we would also need for the controllers probably a multi-tap if you were playing on the PlayStation as well. So you just had these little extra things, which now I guess we mostly don't really need to worry about. But it's one of those little quirks of gaming at the time that, yeah.
Well, now, I mean, most controllers connect wirelessly.
And they're Bluetooth as well, so we don't need our multi-taps. We probably don't even have a port. Does the PlayStation have a... Oh, it must have a USB port for charging, now I think about it. Yeah. But it doesn't have a controller port, per se.
Yeah, it has a universal port, which that's different. There was no universal anything in that era.
No, it's very based.
So your parents didn't say, how come you can't just put a battery on your game disc and
on your CD?
Yeah.
On your
like they did in Zelda.
Well, I think that was the issue. We had a Super Nintendo before that, and because of the cartridge design, you had a battery in the cartridge that could retain that data and keep a save file on the game media. PlayStation moved to disc, and now you don't have the ability to keep your save data on the disc. So we were not prepared for that.
And it's all been downhill since then.
Yeah. Fuck you, Final Fantasy VII.
You suck.
Now we don't even have a disc to save our batteries on.
Yeah.
It's lame without it. I don't even like gaming anymore.
Yeah.
Take me back.
Yeah. The last episode of the podcast.
It's all downhill from here.
Horrible. Hate it.
Horrible.
It's just terrible. Three grumpy old men.
Making Nixon references.
Yeah.
Start watching, kids. It's fun here.
Yeah. We're going to start...
Who the hell is our target audience?
the nursing home community is subbed to... Put on the podcast. What's a podcast?
What? Why are we doing Stone Cold Steve Austin now? What?
Well, appreciate everybody being here today talking about our earliest gaming memories. Tell us about your earliest gaming memories in the comments, please. But
Make us feel old.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was 10 years ago.
What?
What?
I remember when the original Red Dead came out. Oh, God.
When Red Dead 2 first came out, I was 12. Oh.
Everything you say in that voice just has a whimsy to it. It's so nice. It's just like being back in Dollyland.
Black back in Dollyland.
It's not Hollyland.
Dollyhood.
Good.
Anyway, we'll check you guys later. Like it if you like it. And bye-bye.